Zoning Commission to order for Tuesday, October 1, 2024. Jeremy, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tedesco, Commissioner Coles.
Present.
Commissioner Britton, Commissioner Sewell.
Yes.
Alternate Gaida.
Yes.
Alternate Salmeri.
Yes.
Alternate Ma. Alternate Caird.
Yes.
Commissioner Japlinski.
Here.
Commissioner Walowski.
Here.
Chair Hammersley.
Hammersley's here. I did hear from Commissioner Britton that he would not be able to attend, as well as Commissioner Ma. I'm going to see Commissioner Salmeri in place of Commissioner Britton, and we'll see Commissioner Caird in place of Mr. Tedesco. With that, we have a quorum. Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could all remain standing for a moment of silent reflection, please? Thank you. All right, so we're looking for a motion to act upon the minutes from our last meeting on September 17th, 2024. Commissioner Walowski?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Caird with a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, Commissioner discussion. Is there any subcommittee reports? Jamie, how's the planning, the POCD thing going?
We're still working on who's going to be on the committee,
Okay,
and we'll have an update at the next meeting.
okay. Thank you. Under chairman comments, I don't have anything. I have some comments perhaps later on, but I also, I'll just read the preamble that we usually do, and then we'll move into the public hearings here. So, good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Southington Planning and Zoning Commission. My name is Bob Hammersley. I'm the chair of the commission. Want to take a few minutes just to explain the meeting format for people in the audience. Aside from administrative items, which we by and large just went through, tonight's meeting is comprised of 2 parts, a public hearing and a business meeting. During a public hearing, applicants will present their application to us in detail, which will allow the commission members and the public the opportunity to better understand what's being proposed. The commission members may ask questions during the presentation as needed, and then we'll ask members of the public who support or oppose an application to speak. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand, wait to be recognized, and once you're recognized, please come forward to the podium right up here, give us your name and your address so we can get it on the record, and address all comments directly through myself and not to the applicant or other members of the public. And be advised that this is your opportunity to ask questions and make comments on the application, because once a public hearing is closed, no additional testimony from the public or the applicant is permitted. It is important to maintain order and decorum at all times during the meeting, so please help me out with that. After everyone has had a full opportunity to speak, all questions have been answered, and all information has been received, the commission will decide whether it's appropriate to close a hearing. Will not consider voting on an application until the business meeting portion of the agenda. During the business meeting, the commission deliberates on the applications submitted to the commission and decides how to act on them. We have 4 options on each application. 1, to approve the application as it's submitted. 2, approve it with stipulations, conditions, or modifications. 3, table it for a future meeting. Or 4, deny an application. 4 affirmative votes of the commission are generally required to approve any application. If you have to leave before a decision is rendered, you can call the planning department tomorrow afternoon to get results from tonight's meeting. And with that, we'll go into our public hearing. Item number 9A, Allison Marquin, Everlast Energy LLC, special permit application to build a ground-mounted solar array of 104 panels, subject to 1C3D and 7B23, property located at 340 Winding Ridge, zoned in an R80 SPU 696. Is the applicant here tonight? All right, come on up.
Good evening, everyone. Is it okay if I close this?
Absolutely. Could you get closer to the mic, though,
Yes.
too? Please. And again, start with your name and your address, if you could.
My name is Allison Marroquin. I'm representing Everlast Energy at 135 Sheldon Road in Manchester, Connecticut, on behalf of Michael Johnson, who's located at 340 Winding Ridge. We are proposing a ground-mounted structure at 340 Winding Ridge. We had sent over some planning and zoning department review answers that you had questioned for us, as well as 3 documents by the engineer to suffice the engineering questions. We're looking to construct a ground mount that consists of 2 arrays with a total of 104 panels located in the backyard of the homeowner's property. It's going to be surrounded by trees, so there's going to be no glare to any of the existing homeowners. Actually, nobody can see the ground mount structure from the surrounding areas. And we do have the NRES approval through Eversource allowing us to construct the ground mount, and we've already gotten our necessary approvals through Eversource as well for the interconnection application. I can go straight into the answers for the questions that you guys had asked if you'd like.
Well, so the questions that were asked from engineering or planning, we have those in our packet.
Okay,
So we
perfect.
have the answers, though. You don't need to
Awesome.
redo those unless you want to. I mean, it's you have the floor. You can do whatever you want. The other thing that I'll note is it's my understanding that we're still waiting on a survey to be done and submitted.
Yeah, so the surveyor, who's the Bono Giovanni Group, they're in the process of completing an A2 survey for the property in relation to where the proposed structure is going to be. The homeowner has already had a previous addition done on the property, I believe within the last year or two, and he had an impervious structure ratio done on the property. And the stormwater drain management system that he had done on the property to handle the addition, he actually oversized that stormwater drain management system, knowing that he was going to be doing something related up in, for solar up in that top area. However, to suffice for the planning and zoning, they're doing another A2 survey to calculate the impervious ratios to determine if there's going to be more stormwater drain management that's needed, and if so, the homeowner's already has a contractor basically on the side waiting for his go-ahead to move forward with implementing that so that it follows suit with what the zoning and commissions are looking for.
Okay, so just in light of that, I'm just going to say that we're going to leave the public hearing open at the end
Sure.
of this, at the end of tonight, because we still have to receive that. If we didn't leave it open, technically, we can't receive anything else back. So we're going to leave it open, which also means that no action is going to be taken
Okay.
on this application during the business meeting. So just so you know, but if you have anything else you want to say relative to your application, by all means, use this as the opportunity to do that. Otherwise, I'll open it up to commission members to ask any questions they might have based on the stuff that we have in our packet, so.
Sure. An update that we received from the A2 surveyor actually yesterday was that he's about 4 to 6 weeks out on getting this back. So we should have that A2 survey back within the next 4 to 6 weeks. Additionally, the homeowner is willing to take any measures that is requested for stipulations to move forward on this project. He's done so already with his addition that he had put in a few years back, with the impervious structures. He was fine with doing the stormwater drain management. So he's very open for any kind of feedback that you guys may have. He's just looking to be able to offset his energy usage, and the ground mount structure is pretty much the only way that he can do so with the size of his home and the limitations to the architectural design of his home.
Okay.
So other than that, I have nothing else.
Okay, so I'm just going to ask our planner, 4 to 6 weeks out, puts this, which has been on our list for a while. We've opened a public hearing, which we were required to do before 10/17, I believe.
Correct.
Are we okay to wait for another month and a half before we take action on this in terms of deadlines, statutory deadlines?
We would need a continuation request or an extension request for the site plan piece of it. And I have to look at the special permit. I'll get back to you on that. I'm
Okay.
not quite sure off the top of my head.
So what he just told me, and I'll tell you, because I understand you've been cooperative, and it's just a matter of getting people to do what you need them to do, right?
Yeah, we've actually reached out to multiple surveyors too to see if we could get this expedited, but everyone's kind of on
Yeah,
a very.
they're busy. so-
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, I guess. Send in a formal request for an extension
Sure.
so we don't bump up against any there's statutory deadlines placed on each step here.
Okay.
That we have, 60 days, for example, to act within, to open a public hearing once an application is filed. And it's meant to expedite the process and not so people can sit on things and not get things moving along for people such as yourself. So if you could do that at some time in the next week, that would be great, if you could just send that in. The question that I have is that your application is looking for a power output of what I see on the application of 50.44 kilowatts in totality. Is that accurate?
So the 50.44 kilowatt hours DC is a system size.
Yes.
It's not necessarily the kilowatt hour usage. So that's
Understood.
the accumulation of the panels is what it would equal to the DC ratio
Okay.
versus the AC ratio.
And, I think I know the answer to the question, but we're going to get it on the record. Our zoning regulations allow for a maximum of 15 kilowatts output per residential unit on the property. Previous to filing this application, you received a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Is that correct as well?
That is correct. We did receive a ZBA approval.
Approval to exceed the 15?
Yes.
Was it capped at a certain number, or was it just in excess to whatever number?
Nope, because one of the members that was on the ZBA board was actually very familiar with the NRES program through Eversource, and that in order to apply for that, you have to stay within the certain guidelines that Eversource creates for the netting tariff, that you can't just simply oversize the system. It has to be, within the calculations that the utilities provide. And because we had all that information present for him, they were able to approve the ZBA so that we could move forward with the project at the 50.44 kW.
Okay. So with that, I am all set. If there's any other questions from members of the commission? Caleb?
Just one question. So I'm following up actually on one of the questions that our planning and zoning department review came under about blasting to get up to the site. So in your response to that, you indicated that there's a road that links the site to the front of the house, I guess. Is the trench going to be dug, is there enough depth in that, on that road? I'm assuming where you're going to dig it is on the road?
No, the trench is not going to be dug on the road. There's already an access road that leads up to that site where we plan on constructing the ground mount. The trench is not going to be on that road. It's going to be off to the side, like a direct pathway to the service meter.
How deep does that trench have to be?
The trench is going to be per the NEC code and the Eversource RNR, so we plan on digging it a little bit deeper, actually, just to suffice for any, rocky terrain or conditions that we would come up against. So the trench is probably going to be dug between 27 and 30 inches deep, so that by the time we lay all of our conduit in, we meet the 24 inches that the code requires.
And so there's no exposed ledge in that area that would be a problem for the machine that you're planning on using?
So far, we've had machinery up there and there hasn't been any issues with the ledge, but we could run into ledge if we plan on kind of avoiding it. But the drilling machine that we have can go through ledge.
Okay.
So Solar Foundations USA, they actually have a machine that will drill through ledge, as long as it's not a disturbed area and there's not like super silty, like rocks, like a rock bed on like a river would be. They can drill into it and it'll be able to lag into the frost, like the frost bed.
Yeah, I was more concerned about the trench itself from the house to there, and if you're gonna run into ledge going through that, you indicated that you didn't need to do any blasting for that because the machine is gonna be able to go through it, and I just kind of putting it on the record and following up on that.
Yeah, no worries.
It's how far is the run from the house to the array? I had a hard
It's
time
on
kind
the
of
plan
identifying.
set. Hang on one second, I can pull that up. I think everyone should have a copy of that.
So if I have the. This is the, what is this called?
Bear with me, I'm just pulling it up.
New photovoltaic system. I have, like, from the front of the property, it's 415 feet.
No, I believe it's on the next page, bear with me.
I'm gonna wager, if anyone wants to take it, that it's 212 feet. You changed my mind.
The trench is approximately 204 feet.
That was close. Okay, and then again, you said it was gonna go along that roadway? Okay. All right, yeah, that was my concern. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't gonna run into a ledge issue, and then we're gonna have to go back, even though it was stated in here that we're not gonna be blasting.
Yeah,
Make sure that we're good on that.
we had a contractor up there. Michael Johnson has actually had many contractors up there because he's been doing work, and he hasn't hit ledge yet, so he thinks the area that we plan on trenching along is going to be safe.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, you're all set? Any other questions from members of the commission? I'm just going to circle back on the letter of request for an extension. There is a request for an extension in the file already that was dated August 19th. Does that preclude them from being able to ask for another extension?
So I have to look at I think we're out of time in terms of an extension for the SPU for the use of it, so we can talk about that. But we will probably need an extension for the site plan because that just came in, and to get us another 6 weeks out, we may need an extension for that piece of it. So you've got two applications, special permit, site plan. Special permit, we're out of time on extension, so the hearing opened tonight, so the hearing will have to close in 35 days no matter what. You'll have time to deliberate after that. But in terms of the site plan component, we have time on that.
And the survey really pertains to the site plan?
Correct.
Right, so, okay. Did you follow that?
Yeah,
Okay.
we've been going back and forth with
I
the
know.
town trying to get the surveyor to get out there to do it. Initially, he was supposed to go back out in August. That never happened. So it's been a back and forth on just trying to get somebody out there to do that A2 survey so we could probably get it in front of you guys.
So I have to modify what I said earlier. We could close a public hearing on this because this is on the special permit. This is not on the site plan. The survey
Okay.
pertains to the site plan, which doesn't have a public hearing attached to it.
Okay, so you're going to make a decision? or-
We could,
Okay.
right, but I don't know if we'll make a decision on the
The site
special
plan.
permit or the site plan tonight. I don't
Okay.
know. We'll have to see what the flavor of the commission is.
Sure.
When we get to that part, but I just wanted to alert you what the sort of behind the scenes things that are going on, so.
No worries. Now, if you guys aren't able to come to a determination tonight, is this something that we can reapply for knowing that we have everything coming through? Or do we have to wait a certain time frame before we reapply?
Well, first of all, I hope that we don't get to a point where you have to reapply. I'm not interested in doing that. I'm just
Okay.
interested in getting the information that we need in order to make an informed decision. So, my hope is that we can act on your items in a timely fashion that doesn't bump up against any, requirement that would cause you to need to withdraw and reapply it.
Okay.
If it were come to that, we'll talk about it when we cross that bridge, but I hope we do not come to that bridge. It's my intent anyways that we don't come to that bridge, that we
Okay.
get there before that happens.
Okay,
All
sounds
right,
good.
is that fair?
That is fair.
Okay.
I do have one question, Bob. if that's okay.
Todd?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a quick question. I know you mentioned in the beginning, and I apologize if it was listed in the comments that were received today, as I didn't have time to look at them beforehand, but you said that there's going to be no view of it from like the neighbors or anything like that. Can you explain how that is?
Sure. So where the structure is proposed, it's actually in a wooded area. And that wooded area, the way that it comes down off the mountain, you can't see it from any surrounding properties. It's kind of buried in the back. The homeowner did that on purpose because quite frankly, he doesn't want to have to look at it either. So it's not visible from any neighbors or from the front of the house. You can't see it.
Is there any clearing that's involved with that, or is it just basically already there, or he's already cleared it?
So a
or-
portion of it has already been cleared. He will need to clear more, but all of the erosion and sediment will be listed within the A2 survey that's done, and any necessary means that need to be done to make sure that there isn't, any chance of erosion or soil erosion, soil erosion, sorry, I can't speak tonight,
Okay.
will be taken so that we don't have to worry about those, for the homeowner.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Sure.
Did the town of Wolcott offer an approval because it is within 500 feet of their property as well? I didn't see that in the.
I'm sorry, are you asking, does the town of Wolcott need to state?
Need to act on it too before it's approved?
I think we're just obligated by state statute, I believe, that if it's within a certain, I think 500 feet of a town boundary line, that we have to notify them. They don't have a say in what we end up doing ultimately.
That's
Is
correct.
that correct?
That's correct.
But did we receive approval from, is the town of Wolcott okay with this if it was to move forward?
We don't typically receive anything from neighboring towns when we notify
There
them.
was something in the record, though. from the
So
town.
we notified them. As required, we sent out notification to Wolcott because this project is within
And then there was
500
response
feet.
back from them, so I was wondering.
I think it was just a notice of receipt.
Received it? Okay.
Yeah.
You good?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, I know, the second bite of
Caleb,
the
dude,
apple.
you gotta
I'm killing it.
consolidate your stuff. Go ahead, go.
This
go.
actually might be more of a question for staff. Does this affect our ridgeline regulations?
There's no ridgeline protection over on that side of town. We looked at that.
There you go.
All
I would
right.
ask it, then forget about it. Thank
No,
you.
important, but, okay. Anything else from the commission? All right, anything else before I open it up to members of the public to
Nope, I'm
give
all
us
set.
input? Okay. Take a seat, we'll see if anyone comes up.
Absolutely.
If there's anyone in the public out there who'd like to testify either for or against this application, please come up to the podium, state your name and address, and let us know what you think. Going twice? Okay. Anything else you want to add from the back row? I'm getting a negative, I'm getting a head shake saying, no, she's good. What's the commission's thoughts on keeping this public hearing open? Again, I mean, we're waiting for a site survey. That's relative mostly to the site plan, not to the SPU application. But we don't have that right now. And either way, with the SPU, I think we're going to have to act on this at the very least by our next meeting, which is on the 17th. Steve?
Just a question for you and staff. If we are to close the public hearing, we don't have to vote on it tonight, because I would like to see a plan before we act.
Right, so once the public hearing closes, you have 65 days to act. So I might recommend, and just in thinking it through, and I've got some of the dates in front of me, we took the application in on the 10th. So I think we need a decision on the site plan by November 5th if we don't get an extension, which I think it sounds like the applicant is willing to give an extension. So in thinking that through, knowing that you have 65 days after you close the hearing, it might be beneficial to both the commission and to the applicant to leave the hearing open as long as you can, which is 35 days, to get you out to that November date, in hopes that perhaps the site plan is in by then. Then you could close the hearing. You could just leave it open. You don't have to continue discussion or anything. Leave it open until that date, then close the hearing and hopefully act on everything at that point.
You think that's a good plan?
I think that's a good plan.
Does that make sense?
Sounds like a fine
Does
plan.
anyone else have a problem with that? No. Are you okay with that plan, Madam Applicant? Yeah, you're okay? You understand what he's saying?
Yes.
So we're going to leave the public hearing open for now.
Okay.
We're not going to act on either of the two pieces in the business meeting part of the meeting. And just, we'll see where it goes. We're back here in 2 weeks, and we'll see where we are then, and then we'll continue to proceed forward. Again, my intent is to not have you reapply, if you will, to your earlier question.
And I'll do my best too to push the surveyor to get everything into us like before that 4 to 6 week deadline. I like nag him a little bit, but that was just the generic, that's what he gave us back yesterday. We tried to get everything here for tonight.
Did you pick that up over there? She was doing it from her seat. I just want to make sure you got it. You good? Okay. Okay, is everyone okay if we leave the public hearing open on this? Any objection? All right, we'll leave the public hearing open on that. Item 9B, I'm not going to read it because the applicant has submitted a request to withdraw this application. All right, so that doesn't need to, we don't need to do anything on that. Item 9C, Robert Blanchett, special permit application for places of worship, subject to 5H1, property located at 1610 West Street, zoned in those West Street business zone, SPU 705. Going to go old school on us, huh?
I'm going old school, he's the new school.
That's
so.
it, that's okay. I think we
I
got
saw
it-
the
I think we
computer
got
up here, I
everything-
said, you're going up with me, just in case.
I think we got everything anyways, but up
Okay.
here anyways, but.
We had done a couple,
Again, let's start with your name and your
Okay.
address, please, just so we can get that on the record.
okay, for the record, my name is Rob Blanchett, I'm with Borghese Building and Engineering in Torrington, Connecticut, and we're representing the Sikh Temple on this application. And what we're here for is to seek approval for a 7,750 square foot addition. And this is to replace their current two-story building, which they have on the site. So what I did, you don't have this, we just hand-marked it up, just so you could kind of see easier what exists on the site. So this is the building that we constructed back in 2010. This is the existing two-story building. that they
Can you hold
have.
on just a moment, because here's the disadvantage to doing it this way, is that the people behind you and the people watching it at
okay.
home are gonna have difficulty seeing that. Could we pull up the piece from our packet that just has the plan so we can get that up there? That way, everybody else gets to see what
Not
we're
a
talking
problem.
about.
Go right ahead.
Do you need a pointer so you can use it up here?
Yeah, if you have
Do you
one.
need one?
Figured it, I guess.
I apologize for the delay, everybody. I just want to make sure you all can see what they're talking about. While we're setting that up, I just want to remind members of the commission, our next meeting is on the 17th. That is a Thursday. This is one of the nuances of the schedule that we adopted for this year, is that we have a Thursday meeting because there's other things going on in this space on this third Tuesday of the month, which was typically the day that we would meet.
No,
So
you don't have that.
just be aware,
No,
it's a
so,
little
I
bit
mean, If
different.
you just want to go to the first one, I can kind
Oh,
of,
it's kind of grayed out.
yeah.
They're so giving in this commission.
You know, we are. We are a generous group.
Okay, hopefully I can
Back
figure
to you,
the
sir.
pointer out. Okay, so right now, this is the building that we did in 2010, and you can kind of see it under there. That's the two-story building that we want to demolish. And what we're looking to do is demolish the two-story building and to put everything as a straight addition across the front with the existing building. Because right now, the two buildings, they're not connected, and they do have a lot of elderly in their congregation, and it would just be a lot easier for everything to be on one level and connected so everybody could get from one area to the other. The use of the two-story building over here is kind of the same use that they have over here somewhat. So on the upper level, they have a worship area and office areas on the top. The lower level, which you access from the backside here, is they have a dining area and a kitchen area and also additional offices there. Those are all going to be combined into, the floor plan's not, yeah, the floor plan was submitted. Is there another area where the floor plan would be? Because that was all submitted as part of that package.
I think you only revised certain sheets.
Oh, the ones from today.
Yeah, I don't see a floor plan up there.
Sorry. That's 7 sheets. I think it's going to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The entire addition that we're looking at putting on is within the grassed area and the area over the top of where that two-story building is. So all the parking, all the paving that's around there, none of that really gets disturbed. That all stays the same as what it was. The other thing that we did, so the kitchen area that's in the two-story building now, which was a cooking kitchen, is part of the existing building in the back here right now. So in this area, what we wanted to do is to make life a little easier, is they're gonna have some additional dining area here, which opens up into here. They're gonna have a small warming kitchen in the back, because they already have this kitchen right here where all the cooking's done, so just a little warming kitchen area. So that, the dining, and then additional worship space here, and then the offices are all gonna move around the perimeter out here that are coming from the two-story building. We did get comments from Jim Corpone. We got those yesterday afternoon. We did address those, and I'll just kind of run through them quick. I'm not sure if anybody had a chance to look at them, because we got the comments yesterday. We did it today, and I sent them in this afternoon. So these were the only outstanding issues. So per the applicant, the building will be slab-on-grade construction. That's correct. It would be slab on grade, everything on the upper level. The existing building will be demolished. Please add the demolition utility notes and start and anticipated completion dates to the sequence of construction on SPD 1, which we did and resubmitted that. Stormwater maintenance plan shall be included in the site plan. That we also did and uploaded. Per the applicant, the lower two accessible spaces will no longer be needed and will be removed. They're not really removed. We took the two that were in the back of the property that kind of served the lower level of the two-story and moved that up around the front of the building now, so that'll serve the entrance for the proposed addition. And then just kind of restriped everything. The pavement doesn't really change because all that construction is within the central grass area. Provide a sewer lateral design with flow line elevations at the building connection. That's all been noted on the drawing. There's plenty of pitch to go from the proposed addition to the existing sewer line. Per the applicant, a full kitchen is not proposed at the new addition, just a warming area. We just reiterated that on the response back to the town. The proposed level spreader is close to the property line and should be pulled back. An alternate location was discussed and determined that an 8-inch overflow pipe would be connected into the northerly dry well if deemed in good condition. So originally, and I'm not sure how can I get back to that site plan just so we can. Oh, perfect. Okay. So in the original proposal, we create an increase in runoff building the proposed addition, but what we did per state requirements is the increased runoff, so now we can get to a zero increase runoff, is we have a galley that's going to be underground in this back portion. We can detain the water in there, so there's no increase in runoff. The original proposal is we had a separate line going to a level spreader in the back of the property. What we've done now is to take that pipe, everything's now gonna just be tied into the existing storm drainage system on site. So that area there completely goes away now. So we do have the galley system. That'll be the zero increase runoff, but instead of creating a new point of discharge, everything's tied into the existing system. Provide a statement concerning the condition of the existing on-site dry well, the stone recharge trench along the rear parking lot, and the detention basin. If any maintenance is needed, please note that in the report. We did have the engineer go out there and take a look at it, and I can just read you that really quick. The existing detention basin appears to function well. However, existing vegetation on the downslope of the embankment needs to have all trees and shrub removed. The riprap level spreader also appears to be functioning well. Minor debris in the level spreader should be removed. The stone filter strip along the edge of the existing westerly parking is in good condition and does not require any maintenance. The existing galley system in the northwest corner of the existing parking lot needs to be inspected when we connect our roof drainage system. A clean out to grade will be installed for future inspections and maintenance. And all catch basins in the environmental 21 stormwater treatment tanks need to be cleaned. I've talked to the owners. They're going to take care of all of those issues and get everything back 100%. And let's see. Update the galley section on SPD 2 to indicate elevations from the rear, the addition to the rear parking lot showing the depth of the proposed underground galley units. That's been done on the revised plans. Does the proposed slope to the rear of the proposed addition exceed 3:1? If so, erosion control matting is required. There was just a small section there. There have been notes added to the drawing to add the erosion control matting, and then provide a typical utility trench detail, which is also added to sheet SPD 1. So all of those have been addressed. And I guess I'm not sure if anybody on the commission has any questions.
So you're all done with your presentation?
I'm done with the presentation.
Okay. So let's open it up to members of the commission for questions. Commissioner Woloski.
All right, so the, I'll ask Jim and I'll ask you as well. So these answers to the engineering questions came in today. So you understand, we haven't had a chance to see them. You're familiar with the project.
Yes.
And you just lightning fast ran through them. We don't, and then you have, bullet points all the way down. So we're trying to flip back and forth from both. You didn't put them all in the same place. So there's no way we're possibly going to digest all this information that you just threw at us in about 3 minutes. So, fair enough?
Fair enough.
In the future, I'd recommend, question, answer, so that we can read it, especially if it comes in on the day of the meeting.
Well, we just got the questions
I-
yesterday, and I
understood,
just wanted to get them in
understood,
your
but I mean-
hands
I mean,
quick.
We're trying to really,
Yep.
push this thing through, but it's impossible. So with all that said, I can't even put together a list of questions because it's just too much information right now.
Okay.
So, with that said, I'll let everybody else, maybe you were able to grab a piece of it, but, I'm gonna have to look at this a little bit, I don't have enough time
Yeah.
between the time you submitted it and this meeting to formulate a plan or even, make some notes and put down a question, so.
So I think where we're going is that this public hearing is going to remain open
Okay.
at the conclusion of tonight, and we'll carry this over to our next meeting on Thursday, October 17th. But with that, and I appreciate that, Steve, it is very difficult for us to be able to
Yeah, that
digest
I
this stuff,
understand,
so
and I wanted to kind of just make sure that you at least
I think
got the
you-
drawing, so we were,
Okay, you're putting it on the record, so,
I mean, at the very least, question and answer on the same page, we can follow it a lot easier.
okay.
any other questions from members of the commission to the applicant? Caleb?
And this might, I'm going to direct this towards staff. Well, let me ask you this first. So the kitchen on site is just a warming kitchen. You're not going to, it's not meant to creating meals or anything like that. Everything's going to be catered in?
No, because they have, in the original approval you gave us, it was approved with a commercial kitchen in the building that we constructed in 2010. So they already have that
Oh, okay.
on site. So there's no need for an
I
additional.
follow you now. Okay, then it kind of makes my second question moot, but I'm going to ask staff, just for my edification, when would we typically have the health department look at something like this if there was?
So typically, they'll do a review and let us know what their future review is going to need to be. Before they get a building permit, they will have to have health department approval.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Mr.
You
Chair.
all set? Any other questions from members of the commission? Kat?
Hi, thank you. Just one. I do understand what the proposed addition square footage is, but just for comparison's sake, what is the square footage of the existing building that will be demolished?
The existing building,
'Cause can't
I
see-
believe, is 4,800 square feet.
Okay. And it's still going to have the same purpose, that's,
Exact same
Same
purpose, but
purpose.
everything in the existing two-story building is shrunk down. So instead of an office that's 7 foot by 8 foot, you have something a little more
yeah. it's more-
normal.
Okay, excellent. And then it just looks like we're going to continue the architecture where it's actually. going to
Exact
be
same look,
listed.
exact same colors.
Beautiful.
Along the whole front of the building.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you,
All
Mr.
set?
Chair. Mhm.
Any other questions from members of the commission before we open it up? All right, anything else you want to say before we open it up to members of the public to comment?
No.
All right, have a seat, listen
Okay.
in. I need my pointer back. I'm not a high-paid engineer like yourself. Thank you. Any member of the public who'd like to testify either for or against this application at this time, please come up. Give us, again, start with your name and your address, and then share your thoughts with us, please.
Joe Casano, 90 Welch Road. I own all the land in the back. I got a little problem with this, but I just want to let you know, I owned a company that did soil erosion for 40 years. I have a few problems with that. First of all, the fallout, I understand you guys are saying you're getting rid of that, right? okay?
Oh,
Because that
excuse me,
would have been
Joe.
illegal.
Joe, one second. You ask the questions here, he'll come up afterwards
Okay.
and we'll have him answer. We're not-
So I understand they removed that, revise, right, Jeremy? Okay. The only thing I don't care about the building, do what you gotta do with the building, but they have a day well there for years. No one's maintaining it. It's been clogged with leaves, sticks, and everything. I called for years, talked to Mark Shoda, we'll take care of it. No one took care of it. I'm a PA 490 Act farm, state registered. I hay that field twice every year. My tractors get stuck there, stuck in that one little spot, because going back to Jim knows in 2010, we had them put that system in, which works perfect, the other system. That works perfect. That time, they wanted to point it at one way, and you can't do that. All I'm saying is I got beautiful land. I don't want it wet. I don't want to ruin it. I don't like, first of all, I do want the fence extended with blinders. And then you got a gravel berm. Is that what it is, Jim? That gravel berm where they're parking their cars? That ain't gonna work. Their car tires are gonna squish it. That driveway or parking lot water is gonna just go down in my field. So someone's gotta come up with a better system. I'm not gonna tell you how to do it. You guys are engineers. But someone's gotta come out with a better, because if my land gets ruined, we got problems. So that's all I'm saying.
Joe, just so I understand where you're located, are you up in this area up here?
Yeah, I own almost
This
30
this is your
acres.
property up on
Yeah.
the top here,
Yes,
right?
sir.
And the dry well you referenced is down in this area, is that
No, down there. See the leveler way down?
down?
To
in
the
this-
right, to the right. All the way to my property. Go back, go back, go back. There you are. Keep on, right here.
This one
on
right here?
there. Yep.
Okay. Okay, so that's the dry well you're talking about. That's not, in your opinion, maintained well enough?
No, that's what they were proposing to put in. You can't do that. That's illegal.
Okay.
You can't do that. You can't, I didn't give no flow rights. You can't do that. Jeremy knows it. What I'm saying is go up now a little bit. Go up to the parking lot. There's a day well up there. It's just a hole dug in the ground. Don't even know if anybody did calculations on how it perks or whatever, but they don't clean it. There's sticks, leaves, everything on it, so
This right here.
yeah, so the thing is, you're 2010, read the minutes, but your engineer back then didn't make them put an asphalt curb around that day well. So if it gets clogged, where do you think the water goes? My property.
Okay.
And you can't do that. You just can't do it. So they got to come up with either a better system or what. But even them putting that, what is it, 8-inch pipe into that day well ain't going to hold the water. No way.
Okay.
So, and in the past, we had soil scientists, lawyers, everything. They did a good job on that system. But this part, I have worries about because the land goes like this in the back of their drop-off. It's a perfect bowl. It just goes right down. You gotta stop it. So,
Okay.
that's all I'm asking. All right?
Appreciate you coming out, appreciate your comments. Any other questions, or Joe, from members of the commission before he takes a seat? Okay, we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Good evening. My name is Jadwiga Heidi Karwowski, and I'm an agent with Realty 3 at 276 North Main Street in Southington. And I am one of the listing agents of 90 Welch Road. We are selling 23 acres of this beautiful top-rich soil farmland for development. And the only reason I'm here is just to make sure that that land will stay dry. We have a lot of interest in the property, and we want to develop it. And, you know, future development will bring more tax dollars to the town of Southington. And that's all I would like to say. Thank
Okay.
you.
Any questions? We're good. All right, thanks for coming out. Anyone else in the public like to testify on this application at this time? Again, the public hearing is not going to be closed on this one tonight, so we are going to have another opportunity on the 17th, but do you want to come up and, Mr. Townsley, Pastor Townsley, how are you?
Jim Townsley, 696 Spring Street. I'm the pastor of Central Baptist Church, 1505 West Street. I just don't know the answer to a couple of questions, and unfortunately, I didn't get a call beforehand to find out the answer. So the questions that I have are twofold. One, that it says there's a small worship center that's going to be added to that new addition. So I'm not sure what that does. I'm just not familiar with what they do. So I don't know if that's going to add more traffic, more parking. Now, they don't normally have a problem with parking, but I don't know if that's going to add more people coming because of what they're doing. But periodically, you have people come from out of town, and some of you probably know, there's not enough room for everybody. They're parking on West Street, they park on our parking lot. We didn't expect them. We have church going on, and people are already parked there. So those are just the issues that I hope they'll be mindful of to work out. We're certainly not opposed to what they're doing, but those a couple things to check out. I'm just not sure what the answer is.
Okay. We'll ask the applicant to talk about that.
Okay,
All right. Is that it?
that's it.
Any questions of Mr. Townsley? No? Thanks for coming out. Good to
Thanks.
see you, as always. Any other members of the public who have anything? Come on up.
Hello everyone, my name is Dilraj Chawla, representing Guru Nanak Gurdwara at West Street, 1610 West Street, Southington. I'm in favor of this application, and I will address pastors some of the questions why we need it. We're not increasing the congregation. Sometimes over the weekend, we have a service every Sunday, normal service, and a lot of our members wants to have a private functions, birthdays, their graduation parties, or not parties, the religious functions. So for that, we cannot accommodate on over the weekends because there is a normal service going on over the weekends. So this plan, the smaller worship area and a smaller dining area, will help us to accommodate our congregation. And that's one of the main reasons why we are looking at this addition with additional office space, which unfortunately we missed and when we originally made this building in 2010. So we have a limited office areas, and now we want to expand those because our needs are there. And that was why I wanted to address this gentleman's remarks. It should not increase the traffic because congregation is still the same, same number of people. It's just that rather than coming to the service on Sunday, someone will be going to that private function which is held next door.
Okay. So let me make sure that I understand. You acknowledge that there is a parking problem on days where you have an event that coincides with religious services that cause a plethora of people to be there.
There are a couple of days in a year when we have this issue, but we are working diligently on resolving the issue, and a couple of the suggestions were that we talk to the high school or the local schools over that weekend on that particular day and ask them for a parking and have the shuttle service to and from the temple. And we seriously looked at it this April because April is the one day, 30th or 14th, depends on the moon, which day it comes. But that is the weekend when we have this big issue on the parking. We understand that, and we will be working on that as well.
And just to follow up on my question, on those days, because I haven't been out there or seen this, I can only take it from the people such as yourself and Pastor Townsley, who stated that there's people parking on West Street and I assume Welch Road as well. In that area, there's on-street parking where people are just parking on the side of the road out there? when that
There are
happens?
some, yes.
Currently?
No, not currently, no.
Well, I mean, not today, but I mean like
Yeah, but
when
on
these
that
events
day, on
occur.
one particular day, yes,
Okay.
there are some people do park there.
And you're working with town officials, I assume, to try to look at the possibility of running a shuttle service on those particular days?
Correct,
To make sure people are not parking on the side of the road?
correct,
Which becomes a concern, you can understand.
yes. We
For
do
everybody.
understand, and that's why I said
Right.
that we're looking at that as well. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it this April, but we hope that we will have some solution in place for the next year.
Okay, okay.
Right.
Any questions? Caleb?
Yeah, I just want to actually follow up with the chairman's question about, so what you're kind of proposing then is to be able to have two essentially events happening at the same time. You can have your service and you can have a social gathering at the same time, almost doubling the amount of people that are there.
No,
Theoretically.
because it's the same congregation. So if I have a function, it's the same 50 or 100 people which I personally invite on that function will not attend the main service, but will come to our side. That's all. Because our overall, there is no increase. Our community, we're still same, maybe 1 or 2 families come. So it shouldn't increase the number of people.
My concern is that sometimes people, and I'm guilty of this myself, I don't always go to church when I'm supposed to. And, but if there was an event, I might go to that event, even though I am a parishioner of the parish, that I might not go there for services, but I might go to that social event.
Correct.
And so that's kind of my concern, is that you might be drawing in, while you have your typical census of people that come to a service, extra people might end up coming for the social event that typically, while they belong to the congregation, don't necessarily go to the service, but would go to the event. Big picture is, I'm just more concerned that this does open up the potential for more traffic problems, and I think that I'm gonna be asking the question further on down the road, how we can possibly expand the parking situation for anything else, but for the people in the congregation's safety. Because walking on West Street, it's a very busy street, and I want to make sure that, you know, if anybody wants to go and either worship or attend an event, that they're going to be okay. And that's my primary.
I understand,
Sir.
and safety is the concern especially, and we will work with it, whatever we
Great.
can do to help that and alleviate that.
So that's something, a concern that we would want to come back with, you know, your designer and kind of work that out a little bit more.
Okay, I just still want to reiterate, if I have 200 people in the congregation, those are the ones which will be just divided.
Gotcha.
It's not really becoming 400. That's
Okay.
all. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Anybody
Thank you,
else?
Mr.
Hold
Chair.
on 1 second. I
Can
see.
I ask a question?
You absolutely can ask a question, yeah.
Thank you, Chair Hammersley. So my question is that my understanding is the property that is going to be knocked down and then the proposed construction, is it going to be almost double the size? Because they're going up to, is it 7,750 feet? Right? And the previous building that was built in 1973 is how big? Sorry.
Rob Blanchett with Borghese Building. Yeah, the existing building that's there now is 2,400 square feet, roughly, actually a little bit more than that. It's probably more like 2,500 square feet, 'cause it's 62 feet. But it's 2 floors, so that's actually about 5,000 square feet. We're building 7,000. It looks a lot bigger but that existing building's 2 floors.
Okay. So my question to staff would be, in a case like this, because we are talking about parking and safety and that sort of thing, when you have a building of this size, is there a required minimum number of parking spaces they need to have?
Can we just hold this line of questioning off? We're receiving testimony from the public. The applicant's going to come back up afterwards and answer the questions that people in the public are raising. So I don't want to deviate from the structure that we typically follow. So let's
Okay.
just put a pin in it, and we'll come back to you in a minute, because I have the same things, I think, that where you're going, but we'll get there.
Okay. Thank you.
Rob, yeah, just go ahead and take a seat. We
Okay.
still have members of the public talking right now. Okay, are you all set?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I think we're good.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
thank you. Any other members of the public who'd like to come up and testify on this application at this time? Rob, I hope you didn't get too comfortable there, because you can come back up now. Yeah. I'm a stickler for process and procedure, you know? So why don't we start with the question that Commissioner Geider brought up about the parking? So, Krista, if you want to restate that again for the applicant.
So for the size of the building, what is going to be the total square foot all said and done when everything is constructed, should it be approved? Do we
So
know?
The total construction size will be 19,000 square feet.
How much parking is required for a 19,000 square foot building?
They do it based on seats, so when this was originally calculated, because they do have the other worship area in that two-story building now, so it really doesn't change anything. They have two worship areas now. We're just gonna combine everything into one building on one floor, so everything's interconnected. So right now, it's all based on seating. There's 100 spaces required, 100 parking spaces required. We have 115.
Maybe I need to ask it a different way. I'm sorry. So if it's 19,000 square feet, you can certainly fit more than 100 seats of right people in there. What would the fire code be in terms of like people? So say they have an event, they move seats out of the way. There's this big event in April. There's more than 100 seats of people in there.
Well, it's not 100 seats. It's, your parking regulation is one parking space for every 3 seats. So it's designed for 300, you have enough 300 people would require 100 spaces. We have 115, so it'd be 345 people is what we have the capacity for parking per the regulations.
So does that mean that the building would cap at 345 people for 19,000 square feet?
I don't think that it pertains to the fire code. That's a little bit separate.
But I was
Well,
just trying to see like ratio of square footage because it is a large building to parking and if they can.
So again, our regulation requires a certain amount of parking per seats. They've met and actually have exceeded the requirement of the regulation, and that's what we're focused in on.
Okay, thank you.
So Rob, there were a couple other things that came up
Sure.
also. Just
I mean-
before we move away from the parking, I'm just gonna ask, there's no proposed increase parking spaces in this new proposal?
No, the asphalt that's there is the same that's gonna stay. We're not changing that at all.
And so you're maintaining 115 parking spaces as you currently have right now?
Yes.
Okay. The other questions came up from your neighbor at 90 Welsh Road about soil erosion and the proposed maintenance of the dry or day well that's proposed for this site. So you want to talk about that?
Yeah, and I know Jim had some concerns, and that's why we had our engineer go out, and he said, yes, it does need to be maintained. The owners have agreed to go out and maintain it. And what I would suggest is not to issue a zoning permit until that's all been maintained and back running at 100%, just to kind of hold feet to the fire. But the way it's designed and with the additional galley system that's going to be put in there, puts it still below the zero increase runoff.
Okay,
So there won't be any increase in water going into that.
all right. To Commissioner Woloski's earlier point, I'm just looking at something that's dated today that we just got.
Exactly.
Relative to the drainage and the inspection. And again, we're going to have this public hearing is going to remain open. Joe, might I suggest that you get on there, take a look at what they have there? And I'd be interested in your thoughts when we come back here in a couple of weeks after you look at that and what they're proposing. But let's see where we are in a couple of weeks after you have a chance to look at it.
There's one problem, I won't be here.
Okay. Well, you can always send something in, an email or whatever, and just to put it on the record for us.
So you give me the okay to go up on that property?
I can't give you the okay to go on their property, no. There's a drainage report that's done by a John Phillips, if I'm correct. It was a licensed professional engineer at Borghese, that I think speaks to some of the things that you brought up. I'm just saying, take a look at it and share whatever information or thoughts you might have after you've had a chance to look at that letter, which is in the public record.
Could I make a comment?
Yeah, Steve?
Joe, I would recommend you talking with the owners of the property and the engineering firm, get a view of the plans, and try to work this out outside of this room. If you're not gonna be here, make sure you're comfortable. Otherwise, it's gonna be a letter, and you're not gonna be here, and we're gonna have to act on it. So, you know, I'm just encouraging you to try to work with the powers that
I
be.
tried years ago. They couldn't even understand me.
You're getting, to use my colleague's phrase, you're getting another bite at the apple right now, so make it count.
Yeah, I will, but
I've said this before with other applications, you don't want us to be the arbitrator of disputes or issues between neighbors, because typically nobody leaves satisfied with the outcome of that. So I would just encourage you to have an off-line conversation between y'all just to talk about it, but I think that, well, to whoever is the appropriate person. I'm not gonna, okay, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole here. Let's just, all we're saying is that it behooves everybody involved for you to have a conversation. It behooves the applicant to have a conversation with his neighbors, all of them, to talk about what you plan on doing and to address any concerns that they may have. It behooves the neighbors to have a conversation with you all as well, or to be receptive to having a conversation with you all and sharing those concerns. And it behooves everybody to try to resolve that, absent us being asked to resolve it. Because that, again, is probably not going to be an outcome that anyone's going to be satisfied with. And I don't like being that person, but I do what I have to do, right? So, so let's again, encourage you all to speak about the issues that Joe brought up with regards to that. And I think, Rob, with regards to the overall soil erosion stuff, I mean, we just got the letter literally hours ago, and we haven't had a chance to digest that as Commissioner Wolowski mentioned earlier. So I think that we need to have time to be able to do that. And when we come back in 2 weeks, maybe we'll have some additional questions about it.
Sure.
But try to clear it up and make
Okay.
it as understandable as possible, please. Okay. Anything else to add to this? Anything else to add?
No, I don't.
Rob, that question was to you, yeah?
Oh, okay, no.
Okay, okay, as I say, we're going to leave the public hearing open on this one. We're back again on Thursday, October 17th, in this room at 7 o'clock. So we appreciate you being back and appreciate the conversations you might have with people in the interim. So,
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item, 9D, Timothy McGuire, special permit application to construct a detached garage in excess of 3 spaces subject to 1C2A and 5C5, property located at 1456 West Street, zoned in an R40 SPU 706. Mr. McGuire, I assume.
Yes, Tim McGuire, 1456 West Street, requesting approval for my special permit on the additional 2-car garage. To kind of highlight, the property itself is a setback property, about 550 feet from West Street, and visibility to not only my house, but the potential garage is not seen by any of my neighbors, except for the immediate neighbor north of this in the fall. Believe it or not, even during the summer, we can't see any. And I did had to send out all the mailing addresses to 39 individuals, and I received back, basically anyone that touched my property got back to me. I had a couple folks that came in and were like, we're not even near you. Why am I finding out about this? But, so I did hear back from 7 people ultimately, and nobody had concerns at that time. Not quite sure really what I'm supposed to be presenting here. I'm just looking for, the opportunity to put in a second garage. I think the big things that I was asked about by going into the special permit, I worked with the health department and verified that, I think I don't know if I have, so I have, with the health department, the health department asked me to go in and physically measure from the corners, that's how you pinpoint this, and verify where the fields were on this, and to ensure that I had a 10-foot setback on that. It still allows me 20 and 15 feet of, distance from the northern portion of my property. So, just looking for approval or questions or what else.
Okay. You all set, Timothy? Yep.
I think so.
Okay. Any questions for members of the commission of the applicant?
You currently have, I'm sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
you currently have a 2-car garage?
Yeah, it's actually this portion right here that the driveway kind of
Okay.
runs into. Yeah, this is a regular 2-car garage, yep.
So we'd be having a total of 4 bays?
Yep.
All right. And 1 neighbor visible with no objections?
I would argue the other gentleman that I hadn't heard from should be able to see it as well in the winter, but I haven't heard from him.
Similar architecture, similar everything?
I'm not quite sure. Similar architecture. This is the one that I'm working with from the barnyard. What does that mean about
Right.
the architecture? I don't understand.
That's proposed, that's what you're proposing to put?
Yes, sir.
That's,
Yep.
okay. Okay.
Meaning it looks like it belongs with the house and not
I
like
like
it's
to
on
think
it
so.
from outer space?
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
Thank you.
We don't want things from outer
And quite
space.
honestly, I'd rather, I'm hoping to upgrade my siding to match this, actually.
Wow, look at you.
Get away from the builder grade.
Yeah. Any other questions of the applicant for members of the commission?
I have one.
Todd?
So, yeah, so I was looking in the notes, and it says that there potentially is water that might, like, depending on which drainage system you use, would kind of like drain or percolate into the woods. Would that be additional, like, is there any neighbors that are near there where that water might go through woods into somebody's backyard?
So
or-
that is, the questions that came about was a straightforward question of what do you plan on doing? Based on how my current yard and current drainage system works, everything, all my downspouts run off into the woods. These downspouts over here run off into the woods. So I answered it as such, and later found out after talking to the engineer that apparently that is no longer allowed. And I actually like his recommendation in the new method, which is you create basically a 2-foot by 3-foot drainage up against the garage. And quite honestly, it sounds less expensive to do it that way. So I plan on actually following the proposed recommendation of what he provided. He was pretty insightful and helpful on that.
Got it. Thanks.
No digging for me.
Don't blame me.
You all set, Todd?
Good to go.
Okay. You all set?
I think so.
Okay. I was going to ask, just to get it on the record of our engineering staff, are we satisfied with the responses to the questions that you received from the applicant?
The applicant's referring to a stone infiltration trench, so we're in favor of that. It sounds like he still needs to get a concrete person out there to decide on retaining walls, because there is a drop-off there. We provided him information on the GIS showing the slopes that are in the area, so it's there's a slope, so it's not a flat area, so we asked about fill, and the amount of fill that's gonna be brought in, so he still needs to work with somebody on that end, but didn't wanna spend the money to go to the next step until he gets a favorable response on his application.
Understood. You, as the applicant, you understand that what our town engineer is doing is looking out for the best interests of all
Yeah, I'm gonna take all those
43,502 people in the town of Southington. Well,
Yeah, no, I'm gonna make sure we get what we need done.
So-
But I was suggested by the barnyard to double check to make sure that I can actually do it first before
yeah,
I can get it out
I
here.
think that's a wise course of action. But there may be stipulations put on any approval on your application that state that you need to work to address issues
Oh, absolutely.
to the satisfaction of the town engineering department. You understand that, right?
Yep.
That might happen.
Oh, yeah,
You're okay with that?
oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I'm all set. Everyone else all set?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
any
Jamie?
way we can see a picture of your house? Are you able to pull that up?
Was
Just
I-
for the record,
Was I smart
I'm in
enough to take a
favor of
picture?
detached garages, especially at this size.
I got the top view. I don't think I have a picture in here. I apologize.
About Google Street.
Oh.
Google Street actually has somebody else's house. Fun fact.
Zillow
yes.
it?
Nope. I'm 500 feet from the drive. And it's a downslope. I mean, I lose serious elevation coming down. Like, that's 100 feet down off this main street. So I come down a lot. And what the engineer was referring to is this actually drops like 10 or 20 feet there, or 10 or 12 feet. I'm sorry, I don't have a picture.
I'm looking at a picture online, and I'm
Is it
concerned-
white?
What?
Is it white? Oh, good job. Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
sorry.
So I'm concerned that the picture you're showing us from the barnyard and the color of that pine does not match your house at all.
Okay, and how does that pertain to the
Well,
difference?
You could have a garage with siding, it's supposed to match the house. And this detached garage does not match that house in any way, shape, or form.
Huh,
So I would suggest that you look for a different one of a different color, because that doesn't meet our regulations.
so, okay. All
That's
right,
why we
I guess
asked
I
for-
don't understand.
We asked for a rendering so we can make sure it matches the house, and this does not match your house.
Okay. I'm having a hard time understanding why I am being encouraged to downgrade my potential garage and my future obligation to what I'd like to do to the house.
You're not
To me-
downgrading, but our requirements make it very clear that the garage needs to match the house. And this garage that you're proposing from the barnyard does not match the color of your house.
So okay. So if I were to get a lighter tan,
We'd have to
I
see a
have to go-
picture of it. But closer to that house would do the trick.
and so when I go back and want to re-side my house, which has really degraded siding,
Yeah.
and go to a nice cobalt blue, then I'm also obligated to do that because it doesn't match per the town regulation?
The garage needs to match the house. So we can't talk about what if down the road. So if you think you're gonna change the color of the house, we should have that discussion now. But this garage does not match the house, and the requirements are very simple, that it can't stand out. And
Stand out, okay.
it doesn't match the house. In my opinion, it would be an eyesore. So in order to meet the requirements, I would look at either a different
So an
exterior.
eyesore from what, the street? Or
For your
from
neighbors, yes, looking at it,
neighbors? Okay.
yes. If
I-
you're doing a shed or a
Is there any
garage-
way I can encourage anyone to come by and take a look and see whether or not anyone has any visibility to my yard? And would that matter?
Per the regulations, they need to match. It'd be different if you talked to those 7 neighbors and they sent letters in of support, but we don't have any letters of support, and that does not match like it's supposed to. Everybody that does a detached garage has to follow the same regulations. So if you want to
I will
do,
find a color that'll match my house then,
yes,
when I start pricing this out and possibly getting drawings.
I think the neighbors would probably be much happier with that.
Okay. We all set for now?
I believe so.
Anything else to add?
Can I just, a follow-up on that was when I asked you about the architecture, that's really where I was headed without going with that. That it's the color, it's in black and white in our regulations, that it needs to match the house, and that's where I was going at, and Jamie
Yes.
picked it up. So, you know, it's not necessarily a downgrade.
So is there any way I can petition or do anything against that regulation? Because I'll be honest with you, I find that, you know, the slight variation is,
I'm not sure that's,
should be
I'm
complimentary.
not sure that's the hill you want to climb right now.
That is not a slight variation. That is night and day difference.
So okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I just interject here real
Go ahead,
quickly and just
Jeremy, yeah,
read the
please do.
section of the regulation
Yep.
that
I've
Commissioner
read the
Sewell is referring
regulation,
to?
that's okay, I don't need.
So
to-
I just read it out loud for you. It's 5C51C in the zoning regulations. It's on page 93.
94 I got.
Oh, you got 94?
Yeah.
All right. So it says, "A detached residential garage shall not exceed a height of 1.5 story and shall be constructed with the same exterior building material as that of the principal structure," and then in quotations says, "hoop house is not allowed." So I think historically, in talking with staff in the department, historically, the way that's been interpreted, because of course, smaller garages are staff review, they don't come here unless they're over 1092 square feet. If it's a siding, if the house has siding, if it's a wood constructed house, it's a wood constructed garage. I think the idea there, the intent, at least my understanding has always been, the intent is that we don't want to see metal garages in the backyards of homes. Hoop houses are specifically called out there. So I don't know that, and it's your interpretation, you're the commission, of course, but I don't know that color is necessarily the object here. I think it's about the material, the exterior material, and being in keeping in terms of the way it's constructed and the way it's, you know, viewed from the outside. But-
Okay. Well, I think some of that is up for business meeting discussion rather than right now, but I appreciate you opining on that.
Got a question for the public
Caleb.
comment part.
Yeah.
So, just throwing it out there, looking for options. Would you be open to, with the stipulation to this, that you would agree to, and you did kind of allude to it, that you're looking to change the main structure of the building, to upgrade that also. Would you be open to doing that at the same time or within a certain amount of time? Trying to throw something out there for you.
Yeah, it's siding for that size house is another $30,000.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
can
not
appreciate that.
something I'm looking to do immediately. But I hear what they're saying, and we will work to try and stay within the regulations and the interpretations of this board.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yep, thank you. Anything else? Take a seat.
Thank you.
Sure, we'll open it up to members of the public to, any member of the public like to testify on this application at this time? Going twice. Anything else you want to add before we close the public hearing on this? Timothy, anything else you want to add before we close the public hearing on this? You're all set, okay. Thank you. Any objection to closing the public hearing here? No good? All right, we'll close the public hearing on that. We'll move on to the business meeting. Items 10A and B, I'm going to look for a motion to table both of those. We have an open public hearing on both of those. Can we get a motion to table?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to table SPU 696 and SPR 1890, if I can do them together.
I think that's fine, yes? Yeah. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Commissioner Salmieri with a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item C and 10C and D have been withdrawn again, so there's no need to take any action on those. Item 10E and what should be F, although on my thing it's showing up as two E's, but it should be F. This is a Robert Blanchette application that we have a public hearing open on. We're looking for a motion to table on these two items as well.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to table SPU 705 and SPR 1889.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Chaplinsky with a second on that one. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I did have discussion. I did have a little bit of discussion, just because it wasn't necessarily the best.
Kat, can you get closer to the microphone?
Yeah, the public hearing wasn't necessarily the best part of it. I understand that this is the same use, just with an expanded footprint, but I think it's important to get on the record that this is the Connecticut Sikh Association. This isn't just Southington's congregation, it is the state of Connecticut.
Kat, I'm going to cut you off because right now you're making comments that aren't appropriate on an
Okay.
open public hearing in a business part of the meeting. So
Okay.
let's divert from that. We
It
have a
was meant
motion
the
on, we have
size
a
of the
motion on the floor to
congregation,
table
which we-
these two items.
Okay.
That motion has been seconded. We're looking for a voice vote on that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 10G, Timothy J. McGuire, special permit application to construct a detached garage in excess of 3 spaces subject to 1C2A and 5C5, property located at 1456 West Street. This is zoned as an R40, SPU 706. We're looking for a motion and discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve, I apologize. I got too excited. SPU 7, nope, SPU, nope,
706.
706, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
For the sake of discussion.
If we can't get a second on this, then we need another motion. And I can't second or make a motion.
I want to make a motion to deny.
You can't, we have a motion on the floor right now.
What about with the
We
stipulation?
need a second.
We need a second to discuss.
Do we have a second to Commissioner Cole's motion? We don't have a second, so that motion, you're going to withdraw that motion, Caleb?
Yes.
Okay, so again, we're looking for a motion on SPU 706.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to deny SPU 706. I'll
Okay,
second that.
we have a motion to deny right now. And that's made by Commissioner Sewell and seconded by Commissioner Coles. Discussion, and pursuant to our regulation and state statute, if you make a motion to deny, you need to speak clearly and concisely as to why you're denying, citing actual zoning regulations and how this application fails to meet that zoning regulation requirement. So Commissioner Sewell, to you.
This application does not meet our zoning regulations. The exterior material of this proposed garage is a different building material than the house. Not only is it a different material, it's a different color. And it doesn't state the color in the regulations, but it does state the exterior material. And this garage, once again, does not meet our zoning regulations. And in the past, we've always had similar type materials from the house to the proposed attached garage.
Okay. Further discussion. Commissioner Coles.
So while I agree in the exact language of how it's written, I think, and I look back to previous applications that we've talked about with regard to detached structures or additional structures to a property, or even new buildings and how they're constructed in the nature of the neighborhood. And so I think that the way I'm trying to evaluate this while I'm looking at the letter of the law is, does this structure match with how the house is built? And that's kind of how I'm looking at it. And I unfortunately didn't get to see better renderings of the house. If it was that type of colonial house with this type of colonial structure, I would have appreciated that so that we have a good juxtaposition between the two structures to try to get a better idea and a better feel of, even though the letter says it needs to be the exact kind of material, does it match though? And so that's kind of where I struggle with this. But, with respect to this, and with respect to the fact that I don't have that information in front of me, and I'm not able to really get a good look at the house and compare it to how this is constructed to see if they really do while not the exact same color or material, blend. And without that information available, I can't go against what our regulations are written. Or how our regulations, so that's why I seconded the motion, but
Understood.
I did want to have this discussion, because I think for the applicant's benefit also, that, you know, those are the kinds of barriers that, you know, we are bound to our code. And we do have to try to maintain the look and intent of what this code says for the benefit of the town in general. And so that's where I'm at there. So thank you for making the motion.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Anyone? Give me a second here, guys. Please. I'm just going to state from my standpoint that I disagree that this runs counter to what the regulation's intent is. And under Section 9 of our zoning regulations, we as a body, wherever there is questions about the intent of the zoning regulations, 9C, and I'll just read it because it can't be said better. In the event of uncertainty as to whether a use or activity is permitted by the wording of the regulation, the commission shall have the responsibility to interpret those regulations. So we have the right to interpret the regulations under our zoning regulations. I don't interpret it the same way. I don't think that it needs to be wood on wood or the same color. I think that it needs to be consistent and, in my opinion, what I saw is complementary to that property, and therefore I'll be voting against the motion to deny, and unless there's any further discussion, we'll call the roll.
I think we could pose
Kat?
another. I mean, I don't see a reason to deny this. I think that we could stipulate that we need a better rendering of the actual purchase of the structure, but I don't see a reason to deny this.
Well, our public hearing is closed. We can't take any further evidence on this, so.
Yeah, I know, we could extend. Wouldn't we keep it open at this point, or no? We
It's
could close
closed,
it?
yeah, so it's closed, so. Okay, again, this is a motion to deny. A vote in the affirmative means that you're voting to deny. A vote in the against is a vote not to deny, if you will, if that makes sense. Is everyone clear on that? We're all set?
Can I state one more thing?
Yeah, absolutely, Jamie, go
I
ahead.
appreciate what you're saying, Mr. Chair, but we were chosen to do a job, and if you read the regulations, I believe they're very clear. I would not want to live next door to this house and see that garage. It is a nice-looking garage. It doesn't match color-wise, and I know it doesn't have to match color-wise, but it would be an eyesore. And I think it's our responsibility to speak up and put ourselves in the shoes of the next-door neighbor. And again, we don't have any letters of support. We have no neighbors coming here. And for that matter, we don't even know what the neighbors think that this would even look like. I would suspect, if I was a neighbor, somebody would build something that would pretty much resemble the house. Color, building materials, so on and so forth. So for that reason, I think the regulations are clear, and I stick with my motion to deny.
Absolutely, I expect nothing different. I'll just state
Thank you.
that, again, that we have the ability to interpret our regulations any way that we interpret our regulations where there's any level of ambiguity, which is my point. And to your statement that we have no letters in support, we also have no letters in opposition. So I don't know how that even weighs into anyone's decision, but we are where we are, and I agree that we have the obligation and the responsibility to interpret our regulations. I just don't agree with the interpretation of the regulations, and that's fine. But let's get a roll call, please.
Commissioner Coles,
No.
Commissioner Sewell,
No.
Hold on a second. This is a motion to deny. So if you vote in the affirmative, you're voting to deny. If you vote in the negative, meaning no, then you're voting not to deny. So I don't know that technically we can have the motion maker and the seconder
Yes.
both vote against their own motion.
You could.
Okay,
Yeah, let's start again if we could.
okay.
Okay.
Let's start from the top.
Start the roll over again.
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Coles?
No.
Commissioner Sewell?
This is a motion to deny, correct?
This is
Yes.
a motion to deny, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Salmeri?
No.
Commissioner Keard?
No.
Commissioner Chaplinsky?
No.
Commissioner Wilowski?
Yes.
Chair Hammersley?
Hammersley's a no. The vote is 2 yes, 5 no. Motion fails. We're looking for a motion on SPU 706.
I'll try this again. I'd like to make a motion to approve SPU 706.
We have a motion to approve this application. Do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Keard with a second. Is there any discussion?
Is there any way to amend this to be able to say he needs letters from the neighbors in affirmation of that, or is that part of the public hearing? So that we can get the confirmation of, what it seems to be, the eyesore component seems to be kind of a sticking point. So if we were to get the acceptance of folks around him, I get, that, these people might not be there forever, but it's a point in time thing.
I think that would be good.
I don't know that we can put a stipulation on there from an outside party. I mean, we can put a stipulation on there that requires that the applicant work with our professional staff to do X, Y, and Z. I don't think we can say that we're looking for an outside neighbor who may be there, may not be there, may not be able to write or even understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, fair.
for that
I
matter.
think Commissioner
Steve,
Coles
yeah.
can rework his
Can I
motion
resubmit
to
the motion?
include a stipulation that should make everyone on the commission happy.
All right, let's,
Well, let me, we still do discussion?
before, let me, as I'm thinking here, are you okay with that response? Do you have anything else that you want? The
No,
floor's
I'm
yours,
o-
so I
that-
don't
that's
wanna-
as far as-
I don't want to cut you off,
No, no,
Todd,
I'm
that's
all
why.
good. Yep, all good.
Caleb, go ahead.
Would it be, is it legitimate to ask for stipulation to work with staff on color of the structure? So that it's in,
The palette?
Harmony.
in harmony, thank you, with the existing structure?
Yes, I think that would be a legitimate stipulation, yes.
I would then like to make a motion to approve SPU 706.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor that's been seconded. So what you want to do, I believe, is amend your motion.
There we go. To amend my motion of SPU 706 for a stipulation that the applicant work with staff to ensure that the color of the structure is in harmony with the existing building.
So the motion has been amended. Does the seconder of the motion agree with the motion as amended?
Yes.
We have an agreement from the seconder on the motion. We have an amended motion on SPU 706. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, can we please call the roll?
Commissioner Coles?
Yes.
Commissioner Sewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Salmeri?
Yes.
Commissioner Keard?
Yes.
Commissioner Chaplinsky?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilowski?
Yes.
Chair Hammersley?
Hammersley's a yes, 7-0, the motion carries. I know. I think it's the first time you voted for a detached garage, too, but, congratulations. I hope, if you have any questions, just call the planning department tomorrow, and they'll work with you on what needs to get done, okay? Thank you. Item number 11, under administrative items, is there anything under this?
Yeah, there, oh, no, I'm sorry, administrative items, no, nothing this
No.
evening.
Okay. I'll use this as my placeholder to make my comments about things that have transpired over the last 2 weeks. As I think most of you are aware, Jeremy submitted his letter of resignation roughly about 2 weeks ago. This will be the last meeting that he's with us. We're working to put out a job announcement to get his replacement in here. I'm sad to see him go, although I don't want to stand in the way of anyone's professional development or movement. And, you know, I wish him the best, and I hope that his experience with all of us was one that was pleasurable, for the most part anyways. And I just wanted to use this as an opportunity to wish him all the best from myself, and I think I speak for everyone else on this commission with regards to that. So best of luck to you and whatever you have on the horizon for yourself.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure working with all of you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Item 12, receipt of new applications. Jeremy.
Yeah, there's 2 listed on your agenda, but there's really 3. We added a third one on the staff memo. Kurt Hollis is proposing an RHZ development up on Lazy Lane. That's the parcel that about a year ago he requested a zone change from R2025 to I2 to expand the HQ recycling center that was denied. So he's now coming in for an RHZ. You'll hear the public hearing will open for that at your meeting on the 17th for the zone change and the SPU portion of that. It's 24 units. You'll see the layout. It's pretty straightforward.
Again, that will be on the public hearing agenda for Thursday, October 17th, which is the date of our next scheduled meeting. Just make sure you mark your calendars. Please don't show up here on the 15th, which would typically be the day, because someone else will be here, not us. With that, can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?